the funniest thing.
What just happened?
It's very confused.
I'm sure slept well last night and stayed up late.
And then just close it out. Got it.
Let's see, we'll start with approval of the minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Second. I don't know, pick a person.
Any discussion?
Who was the first?
Excuse me.
Sue.
Okay, hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. We want to welcome Dr. Zimmerman here this morning in place of Dr. Trezino, who's in Washington, D.C.
Yes.
She should be having a great time.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about her last night
I was too.
down there. That's for sure.
Okay. So welcome, Susan. and
Well,
it's
thank
all
you.
yours.
Thank you very much. So just a few things we wanted to give you some updates on. The first has to do with our new academic programs and kind of the progress, where we are with those. This month we are actually planning to bring the external reviewers to campus for the K-9 management program. So that proposal is nearing completion, so we are moving along with that in a good way. And of course, there's lots of interest from students in that program, so we're pretty excited about that. So been working very closely with Steve McKenzie to get that finalized. And then our environmental management program, that's a Bachelor of Technology, that is ready to send off to SUNY. So we're just finalizing some information on that document, and that'll be going out, I'd say probably within the next week. So those will be two that'll be going in and hopefully be in place for the start of next year. So
That'd be great.
yeah,
Should
we're
help
excited.
enrollment.
Absolutely. So, and then the other news I wanted to share with you was that at the last faculty meeting in October, the faculty voted to have applied learning as a graduation requirement. So we're pretty excited about that. It's something we do already, and I may have mentioned before, we did as part of the SUNY initiative around applied learning, we did an inventory of our programs to see, if we had applied learning in our major field requirements, and we did for all but one of our programs, which was the AA in social science. So that's something we're going to address, and so it was an easy enough lift for us as a campus. So there's a group of us going to the Applied Learning Conference. It's a SUNY conference on November 17th, and I've already contacted Elise Newkirk, who kind of oversees that at SUNY, and said, we'd love to make this announcement while we're there. So she said that would be fine. So
Okay.
we're looking forward to that. So, yeah.
Wonderful.
So
Will be the first campus?
as far as I know, we're the first campus. So that's exciting. And it's interesting. I went to the CAO meeting and in October, and there were many campuses there that said, no, they're not going to choose to have it as a graduation requirement. So these are comprehensives, UAlbany too, research centers that they felt that was too big a lift for them. So I think it's what we should do.
Okay.
Yes.
How is the environmental management working with the
environmental tech and energy technologies program at all, or is there any overlap or?
There's particularly in water, you know,
Okay.
the water piece, there's overlap, yeah. Yeah, I'd say that's the one, not the alternative energy piece, but,
Okay,
yeah. It's more like the wetlands delineation, it's, you know,
okay, gotcha. All right.
yeah, and the, you know, looking at ecosystems and, you know, preserving ecosystems, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit different, but there is a focus on water
All right. Just
quality
curious,
as well,
yeah.
yeah. Wendy's gonna give just a little update about what's been happening with the budget and some work that she's been doing with VASP.
So you know we are dealing with a larger deficit than we had originally anticipated. I've been working with FAST, the Governance Committee on Fiscal Affairs and Strategic Planning, and they formed a budget subcommittee, and we've met a few times. We took some of the thoughts that President Terenzio and the Cabinet had and developed a 2-page series of recommendations to the President. She's gotten them, but she hasn't responded to them yet. I'll just touch kind of what categories we talked about, and then at our next meeting, I can give you a full-blown plan once, you know, the President has accepted it and we move forward. But the first thing we talked about in the committee is improving communication with the community, because people don't always understand either the seriousness of the problem or the efforts that are already underway to solve some of the problems we have. And energy is a huge example. The committee had lots of thoughts about how we can save on electricity, water, whatever. And then in talking to Bonnie Martin and Joe Batchelder, a lot of these things are already underway. So one of the major recommendations to the President is, you know, let's improve communications with the campus, and let's talk about having an overall culture of sustainability and being mindful of our resources. So I'm actually working with our communications department to, it's not a major full-blown campaign, we're not gonna spend any money on it, but it's just getting the word out there. The next major component is developing new revenue streams, and I think we may have talked a little bit about that here, continuing those efforts. And then, of course, on the other side, you have to cut costs. So we looked at some areas and supplies and expenses. Are there some places we can cut back? We are going to have to work with the departments. What can they do to save some money? And then, of course, personnel. We're not laying anybody off, but what kinds of things can we do in the short term and in the long term to make sure we're using those dollars effectively as well? So that's kind of the big picture. If there's any questions.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Sounds like home.
Exactly.
More money and less expenses. I mean, really, that's what you gotta do.
That's right. So in terms of enrollment management, Tara's unable to be here this week. So I will ask her to forward something out when she returns, Olive, just to give you an update. What she's working on right now is really taking a closer look at, one of the things we've asked for is to take a closer look at you know, the profile of our students. We're looking at one of the interesting, I think we may have talked about this, but one of the interesting things that we're kind of taking a look at it are the number of credits that students are bringing in, and are we more of a completer school, you know, in many ways than we thought we were. So, you know, in terms of even our associate degree students bringing in an average of 11 credits, maybe through college and the high school or advanced placement, and our bachelor students bringing in an average of more like 55 credits, that has a significant impact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that has a significant impact on our budget model, on, you know, how we're looking at that overall student profile. So we want to take a closer look at that. So she's done a lot of analysis of data, and what we want to kind of do is pull out a snapshot of that and give it to the council to take a look at.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
P-TECH, I think we've touched on this before too, but P-TECH is one of the ways that we are kind of looking ahead to increase our enrollment, and there are 51 students in the freshman class at the P-TECH Agricultural High School, and there are 9 pathways here for them to enter into. The thinking is they're already starting to take college in the high school course in their freshman year through ag business or food systems. There are 2 options for them. You know, the idea is that they continue to take college in the high school until their junior year in high school, at which time they would come here to us to take courses on campus. This summer we will have the first joint summer bridge program with P-TECH. So that is built into the P-TECH grant, and it's also built into a grant that we obtained, the non-land grant college grant. So there's funding there for transportation for those students to come here and do that summer bridge experience here on campus. So we're pretty excited about that.
How long does the bridge program last?
It hasn't been developed yet.
Okay.
So, I would say, up to a week here on campus. One of the things that they need to incorporate as well is time with their business and industry partners. So they're still kind of building that piece of it. So then we'll see how long they'll be here with us. So they are now a college and the high school partner as well. So last week there was a dinner and meeting of our college and the high school instructors, which I think was really fruitful. We are at an all-time high with college and the high school enrollment. And so we have, for the fall semester, we're still waiting for two schools, two local schools to submit their enrollment, but we have 733 enrollments. Just for the fall, which is more than the entire year last year. And I think part of that has to do with the P-TECH partnership, and part of it has to do with the pathways that we've developed with Cobleskill Richmondville. So we're excited about that.
Oh, yes.
So, and we hosted 60 Cobleskill Richmondville students on campus on October 21st, students who are part of the college and the high school program. And the feedback we got, they had a great time. Faculty actually did short demonstrations for them, so they might have made a DNA pendant, or they might have set in on a demonstration in plant science, or built a web page in graphic design, and the feedback from students was really positive. And a lot of the comments were that students, these are our local students, just 2 miles down the road, who said they had no idea what we had here on campus. So that's kind of the whole point, is doing that and doing that. So we're planning for next year, and it's the first time we did that, but we're already planning to do it again.
Great.
So we're excited.
Any questions for Sue about that?
Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And then Middle States, the committee is continuing to work along. Wendy's on the committee too, so we know how that's going. It's they're continuing to gather data for the periodic review, and the hope is to kind of put a draft document together, December, January. So they're continuing to gather the information. What they're gathering data on and evidence on, I should say, are the recommendations that both Middle States and the campus gave. And so that's one of 6 parts of the actual PRR, the periodic review report, which is a total of 50 pages. So I think a lot of it will be about scaling back the information we have so that it fits into that. But I think it's well underway, and I think we're moving along.
This one will be very important because that 2011 one was, let's just say, a little contentious.
Yeah.
That was the year that Bonds and Golly was let go. So the campus was in turmoil in the middle of the review period, which wasn't good. So
And I think
And the
kind
SUNY
of
representatives was not doing anything for our college,
right,
which was really sad.
the SUNY.
representative.
Representative to the camp, with the middle school.
Oh, yeah.
And he was in fact, some of the committee actually came up to me and asked, what was he doing?
Well, it was.
So between the two of them, it was very
It's been a
interesting.
good time, yes.
I think there's a general feeling, as we're compiling, the evidence, that we've come a long way. I think it's been a very positive experience. And we brought our Middle States liaison in, Ellie Fogarty. We brought her to campus so that we could kind of pick her brain, and she met with cabinet and she met with the steering committee. And she had a very positive response too, and could see some of the good work that's being done, and gave us some advice about how to put that PRR together. So I think that was a good visit.
Good. Okay, any questions about anything that Sue's covered so far? Okay, good job, thank you. Okay, Angelica will do her update when she gets here, and Sarah when she gets here. We're up to Tim and the foundation.
Okay, good morning, folks. This is short and sweet. The foundation just had their board meeting, so I don't have a whole lot to report back, but For the culinary extravaganza, we raised $16,000 from the net for tickets sold and the sponsorships, which was divided between the culinary program and our scholarships that we do. $20,000 was raised from the $10,000 challenge, which made for a total of $30,000, most we've ever done, I believe, right, Lois? Which is going to be used for a large batch ice cream freezer and then a beer sculpture for the fermentation program. We have a foundation retreat, which is going to be February 9th. And I think that's all I've got to tell you. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to take them. But real short and sweet this morning.
The beer sculpture is a piece of equipment for the fermentation
Not
program.
kegs
It's not
put
kegs.
together? Okay.
It's actually 3 stainless steel
yeah.
cylinders on a roll cart that allows 2 students at a time to do a microbrew. So they can do the fermentation process. And, you know, I think Tim will agree that it was a real game changer to have an anonymous donor put up $10,000 to match dollar for dollar what folks would give that evening, and they not only met the challenge of $10,000, but they exceeded it for 20. It really, the final figure's around 32,000, and then with the culinary extravaganza portion being a little over 16, it was near $50,000 for one evening.
The most we've ever
So,
done. So obviously, it's, the new direction is going well.
yep.
And I think that text to give went really well. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it
that was
generated a
great.
lot of
Yeah.
excitement. I
Yes.
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that was great.
Yeah. Thanks.
I thought it was very well done,
Good.
and
Glad you had a good
certainly a
time.
great crowd, one of our better crowds
Mhm.
And
in a long time.
new guests.
Yeah,
We go
new
through
faces.
and look at the
Mhm.
percentage of new guests, and there was quite a few,
Oh, yes.
yeah.
Okay, alumni update.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
The strategic plan, we're on target to have that implemented and done by January of 2017. The Alumni Association is working as a whole to complete that and develop this strategic plan. Matt Barney is working on a framework, and we will have that this week to look at. So that's really going well. The Ag Industry Day last week, which was an internship employment fair, we had 22 alumni here, and they represented over 40 companies. So that was wonderful. Also, last week, a Survey Monkey went out to the board, and one of my focuses as the president is to increase board engagement. And so those 6 questions are coming back to find out strengths of each board member, what committees they would like to be on, what can the executive team do to further the Alumni Association, and what would you like to see the Alumni Association doing to better serve our alumni and SUNY Cobleskill? And then the last question is, where would you like to see the Alumni Association in 5 years? So I'm very excited to see what they have to offer. A subcommittee will be set up for events, and that committee will help with alumni gatherings, mixers, because that's another focus of mine to increase those this year. And the Survey Monkey question will help me to suggest committees for the board to possibly be of interest to serve on. And then hopefully by the end of this month, each board member will agree to serve on a subcommittee. So that's very positive too. A big push for annual giving this year. Appeal letters will be going out very soon to faculty, staff, and students. And so that's in the works. And then actually tonight, in collaboration with the Student Success Center, there's an alumni career panel. And I'll be a part of that, so looking forward to that too. So that's the Alumni Association right now.
Sounds like you're very busy. Very good. Any questions? I'm sorry, Mark, I didn't introduce you, and I should have.
Oh, that's okay. That's
I don't know if most of you know Mark Finney or not, but he's a new alumni president,
Yes.
and sounds like has a lot of great ideas.
Well, thank you.
Good.
And if I might add, Olive,
Yeah.
fair volunteer
Yes.
extraordinaire.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Great. Yes, Your name always comes up
Thank you.
for that.
Will.
Okay, a very active supporter of the college. Okay, chair report. I don't have a lot this month. Our last meeting was October 19th, so it's been a short turnaround. 3 of us did go to the John Deere Tech Advisory Committee on October 26th. Phil and Linda and myself. It was very well done. Lasted until 1 o'clock. I checked out at noon. I guess you stayed the whole time.
I did.
Linda checked out around the same time I did. So, but it was really, we were very pleased, and I think and a good turnout. And they came from quite a distance. I was really
Oh, yeah.
very, very pleased, and I thought it went very well. Of course, I met with the president to set the agenda for today. And I'd like to just sort of highlight some upcoming events here. It's nice to see college members at the events, and that's why I keep pushing that. November 10th is the spaghetti dinner honoring the vets. And part of the money that's raised goes to scholarships for them. And it's in the ballroom here, 5 to 7. Only $7, and veterans are free, so should have a good turnout. We have in the past. Then the farmers market that Linda has been talking about, November 11th and 12th. The 11th is a Friday, 11:30 to 5. 12th is on Saturday, 9 to 3. And again, some of the money raised is going to veteran scholarships. So I think have a good chance to help some of our veteran students that are on campus. And then December 2nd, I think you all got the invitation, the holiday open house in the ballroom again, 4 to 6. And a RSVP is required, so please check your emails and see if you can make that too. That's the total of my report. Any questions, comments? Okay, this is old business. We've seen it quite a few times on our agenda, and a little different take on it this time. We have both Phil and Lois going to tell us how it works. So I don't know who's going first.
Phil can go.
Well, I'm going to have to rely on Lois's eyes some today, but I would like to pass out a name that has been put forward, frankly, by me, but that doesn't mean anything, of course. I don't know how many in this room remember or knew Howard Sidney, but his obituary is what you're getting, and because the print is pretty small, that you all can read it, and some of his accomplishments here, which were great. And I guess Lois will have to kind of report on, well, you all did get at the last meeting some of the nuts and bolts of how we were going to do this, I believe, correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
actually, the 2 pages that you received at the last meeting, we brought again today in case you would like them or if somebody wasn't here. So I do have them. And using Phil's recommendation as really a case study to see if we're meeting in these questions, what we need to address and then maybe put forward. Dr. Trenzio and I met, and we felt that was the best way to go through it. And so what we've asked, since this was the information Phil brought, I've asked the library to go in the archives and find other supportive data that may not be reflected in this, so that it's a well-rounded proposal. And Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking that we hang a photo of Howard Sidney in the Dean's Suite. So the proposal, next time we'll have the full request, but also then accompanying the data to support that request.
We have a few people who are going to ask for additional
Yeah.
data, like Charlie Gaffney, and a few others. The community knew Howard very, very well, and so we have a number of people we can ask, but I still feel no matter what, anything I knew about Howard, and I knew him very well for a number of years, had great agricultural education, person, and he'd be a very good first case for us, for everybody to ask whatever questions they feel ought to be asked for this type of situation. Did everybody get the 2-page handout that was at the last meeting? Or see something? Okay.
I have them. Would you like them again?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
yes.
I'll do one this way and one this way.
And so, to this date, how does it, do you have any feedback on how the policy might be working?
Pick one.
Actually,
Actually, using the information, Olive, I feel that there's probably information that Howard did while he was here that is not reflected in the obituary,
That would help,
which will
yes.
help ask that. So Catherine from the library is going through the archives, different committees, maybe some academic accomplishments. Phil and I are going to get with, to have a meeting with Mr. Gaffney, because one of the things that a proposal that should be successful, should it be successful, needs to demonstrate is, yes, Phil knows Howard's accomplishments, but then the next thing that's brought forward, we have to demonstrate the magnitude of Howard's accomplishments, so that in the future, should another name come forward that isn't as worthy, you have, you know, you have the benchmark of what is it we're looking for. So far, if you looked at this, yes, it would meet what's in place.
In a nutshell, certainly, we are considering people that have had outstanding commitments to the college. Generally, probably in the past, more than the absolute present. In so many organizations, and I'm sure we all belong to a lot of different organizations, it's very easy for people that have been on the committees that help establish these relationships over the year. Once you're off and out of the circle for a few months, nobody really remembers that particular person, and if we come up, we're not trying to get a whole wall full of pictures. We're looking for the outstanding people that have made commitments to the college in the past. And there's certainly a number of names floating around right now, but we don't want to, we want to put one forward and get all the questions out of the way, and people to ask what questions they would like to ask on future nominations. It is a small committee, and but we can do anything that the board feels be appropriate, like additional names or new committee, and so we've got a lot of ground to cover or to break through, but certainly I think we have a very good first person to cut our teeth on.
All right, and so you're satisfied with the way it's going to date?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, except for speed.
Well, you know that.
This has only been 4 years.
Great, it's moving.
And I'm happy with that, believe me.
But when we're talking about naming, what are we talking about? Are we talking about actually naming the room for him?
No.
Or something?
No.
Just a picture.
Excuse me, then I don't, I don't understand why there's certainly, they only printed the pictures, but I did this whole thing of the college. There were very many people who deserved a lot of credit for moving this college forward.
Absolutely.
Why would we ask, it's not that hard a thing to have all of this to go through to hang somebody's picture who was part of the history of this college and important. Why would we not?
It's not necessarily because of what Howard did or didn't do. It's like what Lois said, it might be because of the next person that wants their picture hung, and
But we don't ask people if they want their picture hung. I agree. I think it should just be, we all might disagree about who's hung in the President's Forum. We had our own kind of discussion of that, laughingly, because there are
Now
disagreements.
look at this bunch.
I asked for not to have mine up there, but that's all right. But the point is, what I'm saying is, there was all this thing about Dr. Zingali. We're not gonna, whether his picture should be up there or other people should be there. I think that's not the question. This college has a very proud history of
Absolutely.
a lot of people who, from the beginning, and we can say Frisbee, Knapp, there are names,
And their pictures are already up.
I don't care, but they're not up in a place and they're not up with the history of the place. And but I just don't understand why I have to do it person by person and depending on the committee, who might like whom and who might not. You know, we all have our disagreements. But I think people who added to this, so I'm just saying, somebody has to go through the process of being nominated and clearly screened. That's just my question. I'm sorry. I thought it was, when I think naming, who gets to have their name on a building, who gets to have their name on a room, that's something that you're naming for something.
And that's
But
something we
that
have no control over.
I understand that. No, I was there long enough to know that. But I think that whether we hang pictures of people who we know held positions at the college or I would say certain faculty members who really did great things for the college.
Yeah, many.
So I think that I would say for a suggestion, I certainly have no problem with, I've heard of
I guess I
Dean
don't really know what you're saying.
I don't understand why there's a huge process involved in this bill. I think that
And your suggestion would be?
the committee go through the history of the college and pick out a group of names and set forward the fact that we're going to have a room that honors other than presidents who were instrumental in moving this college to where it is today. I would make it a more inclusive kind of thing to say we need the room and the idea of what it's for. Then the committee should make, I don't think it should depend on an individual nomination for somebody. That's all I'm saying. Excuse me, I didn't mean to be so long-winded, but.
So can I interpret what
Yeah.
you're saying? So in the dean suite, you would then recognize the deans that were a part of this institution? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not sure I would necessarily have it in the dean's suites. We have,
But maybe have a gallery somewhere.
have a gallery somewhere
Yeah.
like we do for the presidents.
Yeah.
You know,
Like a wall of fame or something.
Yes,
You know,
maybe,
got-
exactly. You know, it can be a lot of different people, but
Right.
this seems to me, these kinds of considerations are for putting your name on a building or putting, I know we can't do that, or deciding to name a room or an event after them. But in terms of our acknowledging what happened in this, I mean, the more I had to read about it, the more amazed that this place has been an experiment from day one. And it was something new and wonderful, and it somehow survived a whole lot of stuff, not unlike our country. So I think I would put forward for consideration the idea that we have a gallery for the history of this college. And frankly, I don't mind if they move people closer in the Balk atrium and you have this area for the presidents and this area for all of the others, because it's never just the president.
Oh, absolutely.
And I
So
think,
who decides on who goes in the gallery?
well, if we're going to be absolutely fair, we can't pick out someone that we just thought individually. I think you have to go look at the history of the college and pick out people who stood out. And there can be nominations, you collect them all, but I think along with, I see nothing wrong with having Dean Sidney in the Ag Dean's office, that's fine, but I think it aligns them with too small a role. You know, I just think, but that's just mine, and people know me, I'm sorry. But I just don't understand all of this for hanging somebody's picture on the wall. Shoot me, he deserves his picture on the wall, undoubtedly.
He does.
And there are a lot of other people too that we can put forward that I think people would agree deserve to have their picture on the wall.
But you have to have some criteria on who deserves it, Ann.
Well, this doesn't set up that criteria that I can see. It doesn't talk about what kind of what kinds of contributions the person must have made. You know, what did this person do to help the college move forward? You know, and I would say the assemblyman who had the idea to build a college here should be on the wall.
Well,
And so-
I will have to tell you, it's been one of the main questions that we've all had is, how far back are we going to go?
To
the beginning.
1960.
You know, and.
To 1911, when the charter was set up.
And then you may have, I'm not saying anything really wrong with it, but you'd have enough pictures to go all the way around the room 2 or 3 times probably.
Fine,
And, okay,
because I think, you know, we don't spend enough time really understanding here, and I have to say for myself, until I got into doing a lot of research for things, just how extraordinary this place has been.
we all
You
agree
know,
with
we
that.
all hear, we are just an ag and tech. We were more than just an ag and tech. And when you look at people who said they were putting up a new kind of educational system for people who didn't want to go to high school, you just had to have an 8th grade. But the idea that you had hands-on and now we're following it through, this
Right.
is a good, you know, at the end of this year, of our 100th year, this would be a great time
Yep.
to make a move to say, we are going to designate, they can go around the room, they can go up the stairs in Bauk, they can go, I mean, Bauk is used by everyone, why not? And there are faculty, excuse me,
Well, I just have a suggestion, because I appreciate what Anna's saying, and in this day and age, does it have to be a physical picture? Could it be a website?
no, it has to be, because whether we like it or not, people go websites and go up. It doesn't help visitors. Visitors are not gonna come to websites. I want every kid on the campus to know about it. I want every person on the campus to know about it. I want us to remember the people who helped us be where we are today, good and bad. And so, yes, and I think it means a lot to people, God knows, are not on the website. Like, we just need to have some of our own sense of valuing those who came before us. And
They don't have to be large photographs either.
Right.
well, they can't be too tiny. No, no, agreed.
But the thing is, if you just start with one person, then there's gonna be a lot of others that are gonna say, well, why isn't so-and-so here?
Yes,
So I think
exactly.
if you do this thing as the history and start back with 1911 or whatever year it was, and start
Yes.
there with a few, including this gentleman.
Yes.
And do the research, have a committee that's willing to do the research, to go back through and find out, get a half a dozen or a dozen people
Right.
that had, and then fill it in with others that came in between those times, you
Yes.
know, years by years.
So,
Is it just college people or community people?
in what way?
Well, Chuck Merrill.
Well, Chuck Merrill was a professor here, you
I know he
know,
was.
people who gave
I know he was.
money to the college, yes, I mean, but, and more importantly, he implemented a completely new way of teaching biology, that was one of the first to use advanced technology.
So
So-
we would recognize him for advanced technology teaching rather than endowment?
If we're gonna get to recognizing everybody gave a lot of money to the college and have their pictures on, yes. I would say the advanced teaching was implement, that it can also be mentioned that his connection, he loved this place so much that he put people through,
Right.
that's a double, but I would
I'm
recognize,
just using that as a name.
but I would
Right.
recognize him as a faculty member.
And
Yeah.
then that is the strong point for him, exactly.
Yes, so,
I mean, there've been a lot of people that have given a lot of money to the college, maybe not to that degree, but
but
a
we
lot.
we recognize those people in other ways, but I think that there are people here who have done yeoman's work at this college.
Absolutely correct.
And I would like to see, let's just, is that completely weird? To
No,
say just,
that's
let's just
really
decide.
this group's pleasure
Oh,
for,
no. But I just think that doing one, deciding this is what we're going to do, that we okay having a room, and what Barbara said's absolutely on, you know, if we don't have a number of people in the first thing, it's just going to be. And he'll get lost just in one room over in the dean's office in ag. It'll be mostly the students who have trouble with the dean. No, who will see him. That's all.
It's certainly the pleasure of, well, it's gonna be the pleasure of us, actually, and I think we've been looking at a timing for the next meeting, which is in February. Was that correct, Lois?
Yes.
And so we were looking for some definite direction, plans. Well, we have the plans, but maybe there are changes, as Dan's saying. So be thinking about that for the next meeting.
Why?
And
Can we move for this to be, to broaden it at this meeting? Do we have to have another whole meeting?
I'm not the chairperson, so don't look
I'm
at me.
asking.
Well, I think, how many of you, well, I think we need a motion to see where everyone is. And I don't think we're going to, at this point, say this is what we want to do, but I think it should be considered. Someone make a motion and we'll get it out on the floor. I can't make the motion.
Well, I will make the motion. I will make the motion that we decide to have a photographic history of the people who've made a difference to this college, and that will be based on the committee's recommendations of who should be in there.
Second.
Discussion.
And you can add to that, it's not just the pictures of the individuals,
Right.
but you can put in things that happened of the history as you go through. So it makes it interesting that you're not just there looking at somebody that you don't really know, but you can see the connection of what happened because of that person. I mean, you can really make something out of it.
Any other suggestions?
I have to say, initially when Phil was talking about the naming project, I was sitting there saying, okay, which lab, which portion of a building is going to be something named for Howard Sidney, and I would be right there, you know, rooting right along to do it. And when he said a picture, I was thinking, really? You know, I understand, and we have to start somewhere, and I like Anne's idea of enlarging the scope so that it's more inclusive of people throughout the history and throughout the scope of the college who've made significant contributions. I think it would enhance everything this college has done and stands for now, to do something of this sort. And as Tracy said, it doesn't have to be a big picture, or it could be a plaque of some sort with some sentences about this happened and here are the names of some people who were instrumental in developing this particular program or seeing that this event took place. And I would really prefer to see something of that sort happen, rather than going just picture by picture and then, oh, where do we hang it? You hang Howard Sidney's in the Dean's Suite because he had to do with the College of Agriculture, but what about the folks on this side of the campus who I'd like to see exposed to the contributions that Howard
I
made?
agree.
As I
agree.
I would like to add, and just in case the rest of us don't remember, the reason why we're back to a picture is, of course, the buildings, you have to donate massive
Oh,
sums
yes.
of money,
Right.
number
No.
one.
Right.
Number two, to have, let's say we wanted to change this room to, pick a name, I don't care. The way you do that now, under SUNY guidelines, you come up with the value of this room, and then it's a percentage of that. So let's put a $50,000 value on this room. It is generally 10%, so somebody's gonna have to come up with 10% of $50,000 to name this room. I'm gonna use Howard Sidney room. And so a picture looked to me like $25.
Right. I appreciate the consideration of
That's how I got
the
back to a
money
picture.
But this is, but I think this was a good venue to start the discussion about something that I think would raise his level, but also
Right.
let us know everyone. I think this would be good.
There's no doubt about it, that we have just countless, and no matter how many pictures we have, or sentences, plaques, mats, whatever, we'll never be able to recognize all the volunteers,
Oh,
No,
dedicated
no.
people that have built this college.
No,
It's a fantastic place, and it's come on the backs of an awful, awful lot of people. The people that are here today, you know, you picked on Zingali. Let's go ahead 25, 30 years. You know, who's gonna know him and why he was there?
Nobody knows.
no, but my point really is that I think, I agree with you. I think you pick out significant people at significant times that may change differences for, the college, and that's, you know.
But you're still gonna have to have guidelines to do
No,
that.
that's what I mean,
Criteria or
but that's what
rubric
I
or-
don't,
Mhm.
yes, we have a rubric, and it just in the committee's hand, I don't think it can be individuals coming up and say, I want this
Right.
picture in there.
Right.
This was my great uncle Smith or something, and, or anything like that, or I'll give you $100,000 to hang my
Right.
brother-in-law's picture up
We'll
there.
take it.
As long as it's in the minutes.
Okay.
And you'll get a nice break for
Yes,
that.
right. But I think.
All right, I think we've
Okay.
had enough discussion unless someone else is interested in adding to it. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
I'm uncomfortable.
Okay,
Can I ask why? Just
Um, I think it's wonderful and it's well-meaning, but we've a couple of times, and you even reversed yourself and said, you went from a whole line of every single person and the whole history to taking it back to the committee, which is what this document talks about.
Well, I think that the committee has to set up the complete guidelines and to decide. I don't want everything up there, but I do recognize that it can't be, I don't want it piecemeal by piecemeal and people in one place and people in another and people in another. That does not do justice to the college. I didn't mean, I wasn't reversing myself, Susan, it was just the understanding that we have to have guidelines for what level of accomplishment people should have done to be in there.
So are you saying then that these guidelines need to be changed?
I don't, this is for a different kind, oh, well, no, these shall have, the ones on this page shall be,
that's why I think we
Fine,
need to
yeah.
consider this
Okay.
instead of just going off the deep end, and that was my point originally, that we not make a permanent decision. I think that we need to ask to pursue this and then have some input. You know, we can do a lot of things in the heat of the moment, but for a long term, I think you need to have a little thought going into it. I think it's a great idea, but I think we need to actually have Lois and her committee take a good look at it and see how it's best implemented. I agree with you, Susan, I think.
at the very least though, can we say if Howard
Well,
City's
let's
coming
get this
forward.
motion off the
Okay,
floor, please.
yeah,
please.
Sorry.
Okay,
It contradicts itself, doesn't it?
how many did we have approving the original motion?
I approve the original motion.
Okay,
And I did.
okay. And we have two that aren't here today, too. Okay, and those opposed? And what are you, Phil? You're opposed also? All right, I think the motion probably carries according to Robert's Rules of Order, unless we want to add
An amendment?
yeah, to the motion. Is anyone interested in adding an amendment to the motion?
Ann, would you object terribly if we
I-
add a motion to
I don't
amended to
even, I have nothing in this except I don't understand why we would be spending all this time voting to hang a picture in the dean's office. So that was my
I'll make the
original
motion
comment.
that we amend the previous
Motion?
action, previous motion, to add to consider developing policy and guidelines for this.
Wait a
Amy
minute,
and-
policy and guidelines
For
whatever Ann said.
whatever.
No, mine was just having a single place to hang the pictures of people we choose to honor.
Okay.
It's really ultimately that simple.
But the key to what you just said is people we choose to honor. And that's a complete reversal from where you started with hang them all.
No, I never
No,
said,
no,
Susan,
no,
hang them all.
no,
I said
no.
there were a
That's-
lot of people who were as instrumental as this man, and even more so in the history of this college. I never said hang all the pictures here. There's some in there I'd take down now. And that's really true. I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but I just think this is ridiculous for hanging a picture in the dean's office. For a man who had been dean, you shouldn't have to go through this. What I'm saying is, if we're going to go through this, then let's go through it seriously and hang the pictures of a number of people who have been instrumental in bringing this college to
Let's
where
make
it is.
it to a shorter motion.
I'm out of here. You can do what you want. I have
We don't need
I have a
a
9:30
dissertation on it,
meeting,
just a
so
motion, okay?
I will just,
All right, a motion, and a motion.
if you really want to know what I move,
Yes,
I move that rather than hanging this picture in the dean's office, that we hang it in the gallery over there.
I never said dean's office.
That's what I heard. Where did you-
I asked for clarification.
Oh, you asked for clarification.
Is a place that you're referring to in Howard's case in the dean's office, and that's where the conversation got
excuse
to
me.
a photographic history versus in each area where they were instrumental.
Amy, would
That's
you
where the
read the
conversation-
motion back, that Linda just made, please?
A motion to amend the previous motion and add language saying to consider developing a policy.
And guidelines.
And guidelines.
For a single place to hang pictures.
Okay,
Yep.
for a single place, all right. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Susan seconds it, all right? Any more discussion on it? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. All right, we made it through. I'm not sure how closely we followed Robert's Rules of Order, but we got it through. All right.
This
Sorry,
page,
I haven't brought it up.
this page needs to be looked at because it contradicts itself.
Okay,
Take that to your next meeting.
Barbara, can you just tell me which page you're referring to?
This one.
The shorter one,
Yeah.
okay, Susan, the Institute for Rural Vitality at SUNY Cobleskill.
Yes.
Would you fill us in on that, please?
So I think you all have the document that kind of outlines the role of the Institute. This was also presented to the faculty, so you know, and Marion attended the faculty meeting to address any questions or concerns. There really weren't any from the faculty. It seems like there's support there. I think probably one of the most important features of the Institute is that it really provides a framework for the work that we do here on campus. So it's kind of a way of organizing the work that we do and of making sure that, you know, what we're doing is aligned with our mission, you know, that it makes sense. So if you look at the framework that's in place and you see the different centers, you know, this is a way that we can organize the grants that we go after, and that we can organize the research that we do, and any connections that we might have with business and industry, or any additional, you know, external connections that we make. So you have the Center for Farm and Food Entrepreneurship, and you can see that some of the things that we're already doing, like the Business Incubator, falls under this particular center. And, you know, some of the programming that we do through PACE, you know, speaker series, et cetera, et cetera. And Each one of the centers has then a research component, an applied learning component, or a service learning component, which is important. There's some information about how it will be funded. Many of these centers already have funding in place through grants and other work that we're doing. So initial funding, and then how the structure of that center would be organized. So, who's going to be responsible? And there would be a faculty role in each of these centers. So faculty would be directly involved. The next center is the Center for Community Advancement, and then we have the Center for Business Development, and then the Center for Art and Culture, and then Center for Rural Legal and Policy Services. So I don't know if you've had a chance to read over the document or have questions about it.
I haven't really seen the document.
Oh, okay.
It has not,
No,
it has not come through.
Oh, okay. Do you want copies now, or do you?
Why don't you just
We'll
send them to
email it
us?
and you could send it
Yeah.
out? Okay.
Because we can't read all of that.
Okay.
And so yes, because I haven't seen it either.
Oh, I'm sorry, I
I
think
know
that it went
that
out.
there's been talk about it, yes. But,
Yeah.
and the Albany Law School is,
Would be part of the
Yes.
last center that I
Yeah.
referenced. So, the idea is that the Institute would have a director, and that each center would have a director or a coordinator. And the faculty, again, would be directly involved in that. So they may be a center director. But again, it's really to provide a framework for a lot of what we're doing and for future partnerships that we develop or future research that we do. So it helps us, align that work with these specific centers.
okay. Questions on that? I think you'll probably have more once you have an opportunity to.
Yeah, it's explained in a lot of
see it.
detail. I'm sorry, I
Yes.
thought that the document had been
No.
sent. So, okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll bring that back in February.
Sure.
And then if we have questions, we can talk about it then. Approval of proposed recommendations for advisory committees for the Fisheries, Wildlife, and Environmental Science Advisory Board. And we have 3 listed. Anyone have any questions on the 3 listed?
Did I must not have seen them, I don't know who's listed.
You got a revised agenda
yeah.
that came out
Yesterday.
yesterday.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Any questions on the 3 listed? Did everyone see it but Phil? So you know what we're talking about? Okay.
I'll move the approval.
Second, Susan? Any discussion? You have any, Phil?
I only had one name that I guess I wanted to put out, but of course I'm not responsible for that.
No.
But can I mention it, at least throw it out there? No, I don't need to.
You better do it.
No, that's fine.
Throw it out, it's Fisheries and Wildlife.
No,
Mhm.
I don't need to.
Okay?
Doesn't make any difference.
Phil, you can
I'm
either
sure
send
they
it to
could
me
be
or send
here.
it to Mark Cornwell.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, I'm all
Yeah.
set.
Okay?
Yeah.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Okay, so carried. Angelica?
Oh,
Welcome.
good, perfect timing this time. I believe everybody's got a copy of my report?
No.
Okay. Well, since my last report to the College Council, which was just on the 19th, and maybe this came up previously, the faculty have wholeheartedly endorsed the 2 motions requiring each student, a motion for associate's degree and one for bachelor's degree, requiring students to complete a minimum of 3 applied learning credits before they graduate. And Dr. Trenzio has endorsed both motions, and Sue tells me that SUNY has been notified of our actions. So hopefully the chancellor will herald our praise at the Applied Learning Conference. The Academic Policies Committee has been very busy this semester. Another thing they're working on is a policy for minors. We currently have some minors on campus, and the Curriculum Committee years ago took up the charge of developing a form, but somewhere in between, they forgot to have an actual policy that says this is what a minor should consist of and how it, whether it will count as part of the degree or be separate. So we're looking at that, and that'll be presented to the faculty in January at the faculty meeting. We met with Dr. Trenzio and the cabinet on November 3rd and asked for some clarification on the single sign-up for Banner because of the costs involved. There was a concern from the executive committee that the $150,000 to $200,000 that was committed for that BDMS single sign-up was expensive, and that people were willing to give that up in lieu of perhaps the cuts, the 3% across the board cut in supply and expenses. But we weren't told the entire reason for having that system, and so we were simply told, well, it had to do with room reservations and double booking rooms, et cetera. So Dr. Trenzio and Dr. Zimmerman made it very clear, you know, the importance of that system. So I think everybody was happy when we walked away from that. Facilities and Space continues to explore some options for handicap parking. They were recently asked to explore whether we wanted to be a dog-friendly campus and what that might mean both for the residential side, kids having dogs in their residence halls, and also for the academic programs. And there's one thing I don't have on here that came up recently. We have an academic integrity policy. If a student engages in any form of academic integrity, there's a policy listed that says here's what the process is. That needs to be tweaked. We found that out. We had a recent case, and some of the commands in that are not very, you know, it goes from here to there, are not really very clear. So that's going to come back to academic policies. They're going to be very busy this year. We haven't had an academic integrity case, a major case that went to the appeals level since a former dean, before you were interim dean. So I don't know how many years ago that was.
It's probably 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, we've had academic integrity issues, but they've always been resolved at a lower level. So we need to work on that, and that concludes my report. Are there any questions? It's been a good year. We're also making the transition. Barb Roberts has been coming to executive committee meetings when she can, and also to the meetings with Dr. Trenzio and Dr. Zimmerman. So we're starting that transition. So it should be a very smooth sailing in January. The next faculty meeting is in the Cantor building at 1 o'clock, the 20th, I think. Don't quote me on the date. It's on the governance calendar.
Thank you, Angelica. Any questions? Again, we're going to miss you much.
Thank you.
And we thank you for all of your hard work that you've done over the years. You've done Yeoman's your work
Sometimes
as
it's
faculty,
like that.
a representative wherever you were working with. So.
It's actually been a lot of fun being governance leader. There were times in my previous tenure that were a little touch and go, but it's been a lot of fun. Certainly working with Marian's been a tremendous pleasure.
Good.
Communication is open, and that's good. We're getting things done.
Thank you. Okay, Sarah.
So currently we have 49 clubs chartered through SGA, which is up from last year by about 9. And we have 2 confirmed interest groups, Cobleskill Dance Committee and Paintball Club. And actually we just had one club yesterday come off the inactive list, so we're excited that clubs are reactivating and continuing to be engaged on campus. For our happenings, we have the blood drive today, 11:30 to 6 p.m. in the ballroom. SGA is supporting a donor initiative with the cleaners and clubs. All cleaners were given cards where they can hand them out to student and faculty and staff. And if whoever goes and donates blood puts the cleaner's name on the card, the cleaner will get points. 1 point for a previous donor, 2 points for any new donors. And then it'll go into, it'll be calculated and they'll win a prize. We're doing Visa gift cards for the top 3 cleaners.
Nice.
And then also for clubs, they'll get money towards their club generated for the top donating club. Membership recruitment efforts. We've increased our membership by 5 this semester, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's pretty good for us. We're excited by that. And we will have 3 open officer positions from fall to spring. So we're hoping to fill those. We just appointed apprentices for each position, so there's a smooth transition, and hopefully people will be able to learn about the roles and duties and just be ready to jump into positions if they're elected. We're also gonna have a hot apple cider stand Thursday, so tomorrow. Today's Wednesday? Yeah. Thursday, tomorrow, from 12:30 to 2, hot apple cider, cold apple cider, and cider donuts, just as a thank you to students and a push through to get to finals and get to break. Also to showcase clubs and school spirit, we're gonna think of doing a mannequin challenge. If you're not familiar with it, Admissions just did one. Everyone just kind of freezes in place, and the video goes around just showing people frozen. So SGA is going to start one next week. We're all going to wear our brand new SGA shirts that we got in yesterday, and we're going to do it in the student life office with the staff and with CSA, and then we're going to challenge clubs and departments to do it. So it'll be a cool way for them to showcase, like Dairy Cattle Club could be milking a cow or something like that.
That's cute.
Our next Pizza with the Presidents will be Pierogies with the Presidents on November 29th. The last one saw kind of a low attendance, so we're hoping it'll increase. We've been really promoting it. We discussed some things like smoking on campus, and we discussed club collaborations, things like that. Kind of the things we've been discussing at previous event, or Pizza with the Presidents, but more improvement on each topic each time. And then also we're gonna have a student government holiday party on December 7th at 6:30 in Upper Champlain, and we would like to invite the council. It's just kind of gonna be for students to informally see what you guys do and be able to meet you, and just a very informal gathering.
Sarah, can you tell me that date again?
Yep, December 7th at 6:30 in Upper Champlain. And some of the current issues being discussed, ballroom updates, which we had a presentation from IT yesterday, and also skateboarding on campus and those initiatives.
Thank you. Any questions of Sarah?
I just have a comment.
Okay.
When you talked about the hot cider, it made me think of our open house on Saturday, and I don't know if you've seen the trailer around that the student of the student project,
Yeah.
and it has a wind turbine on it and a solar panel, and has been used to run a freezer, or in the case of Saturday, they ran a crock pot off it with the hot cider. So I'm just thinking about I talked with Dave Wage and Katie Roberts, and they're willing to put that trailer anywhere if people want to, use the power generated that way to run an event or, run something. So I'm just thinking about your hot cider, and maybe there's a way to, it may be too short notice,
We
but maybe
definitely
there's a
will
way
look into
to.
it for a hot cocoa stand.
Yes, that'd be
Do that
great.
too.
Okay, that'd be good.
Nice. Okay. Any other items to come before the council before we adjourn? Yes.
Albus, can I share something fun with
Sure.
the council? Financial literacy is a big issue with the students, and Louise Byron, who's our Director of Financial Aid, takes this very, very seriously. And we partnered with SUNY Oneonta, who had gotten one of those SUNY Excel grants to do a financial literacy event, and it happened last week. It was called Budget Con. Were you there, Sarah? They were hoping for about 150 to maybe 200 students. Over 300 students attended.
Wow.
And what it was it's kind of like a live action version of the Game of Life. You get a salary based on your career choice, and then you have to go around the room, pay all your bills, and then how much money do you end up with at the end? Your first stop was the IRS table. Your second stop was the student loan table. And actually what Brian Smith, who's also our crackerjack financial aid person, helped the students, where can you see your real life, how much you owe right now, so they could see what was happening with how much, what they were gonna have to pay when they graduated. Housing, groceries, transportation, were you making donations to charity? And every bit of feedback I heard was just fabulous. So the students really enjoyed it, they got a lot out of it. And there's already plans underway to do it again next year. So I just wanted to share that because I think it was just really an exciting thing that we were able to do for the students. And you,
It was
what did you
terrific.
think, Sarah?
It was great. I mean, we surpassed Oneonta, which it was their thing, so they're a little mad, but that's really exciting. And they had to stop taking registrations because they were just so full.
Yeah.
And faculty and staff from all over the campus were volunteers as well. And external vendors came. Price Chopper was there, Key Bank.
Yeah, I want a box of Price Chopper.
Oh, did you?
A box of food.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's cool.
So it was wonderful.
Oh, nice. Sounds interesting.
It was fun.
Good.
So I'll have to let you know next year in case you want to stop
See
by.
it, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Olive, if I could just add,
Yes.
I wanted to just let everybody know that the strategic planning committee has been put together. Invitations were sent out to members, and there will be an invitation forthcoming to the council to attend a retreat for the strategic planning committee. So, just keep your eye
Okay.
out for that.
Do you have any idea?
I think January.
January, okay. All right. Any other comments, questions? Great. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Linda. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Barb. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So carried. We have a trip to our tour of the Wellness Center, and that will take place right away, Amy?
Tennis,
10-ish? Okay, so that's soon.
yes. And there's 2 parking, because I figured that there were, I think, 6 going. So, I didn't order a van or anything. I figured a couple people could drive, so 2 parking spots are reserved there.
Okay. How many are going? Linda? No?
No.
Susan? Barb?
How long are we gonna be? Do you have any idea?
However long you want to stay.
It's beautiful.
I know, I'll go for a while.
Okay,
We'll see how time goes.
okay, Bill?
I'll go for a while also.
Okay, so it looks like there are 4 of us. Okay, that'll be fine. I can drive, and we can all go in my car and back if you want to. Is that okay?
I think I'll drive by myself because I've got another meeting.
Okay,
So I'll just
where are you parked, Bill?
I got dropped off this morning, I didn't drive.
Okay, so I can drop you wherever I can get you home or something.
My wife's coming from at 10:30
Okay, where's she picking you up?
downstairs. But I can walk back there, no problem.
Okay. Barb, do you want your car or are you okay?
Well,